She sat across from me in my office, eyes tired, voice heavy with frustration. For months, she had been diligently practicing intermittent fasting. At first, the results were exciting. A few pounds melted away, her clothes fit better, and her energy even seemed to rise. But then, just as quickly as the progress began, everything stopped. Week after week, the scale refused to move. She tightened her eating window, tried longer fasts, cut calories, but nothing worked. The initial spark of hope gave way to confusion, disappointment, and the thought that maybe fasting just didn't work for her. If you've ever tried intermittent fasting, perhaps you felt this same wall. You do everything right, yet the benefits seem to vanish. Why does this happen? Why do so many people begin fasting with high expectations only to plateau stuck in the same place they started? The answer lies in a fascinating but often overlooked truth. Fasting is not just about restricting food. It's about unlocking a biological switch, a hidden repair mechanism that goes far beyond burning calories. This switch is called autophagy, the body's own recycling system. Until it's triggered, intermittent fasting may feel incomplete, like a car engine revving but never shifting into gear. Autophagy is the missing piece. It doesn't simply help you lose weight. It cleans out damaged cells, resets hormonal sensitivity, and makes your metabolism more efficient. Without it, fasting can feel like running in circles. With it, fasting transforms into a powerful tool that not only breaks through weight loss plateaus, but also supports healing, longevity, and energy. Have you ever wondered why fasting worked for a while, but then seemed to betray you? Have you felt stuck even when doing everything you thought was correct? Perhaps the key isn't fasting harder. It's fasting smarter by understanding when autophagy truly begins. When most people hear about intermittent fasting, they treat it as though it was simply another diet trend. They latch onto the schedule, skip breakfast, eat lunch, finish dinner early. They follow the clock, but forget the quality of the fuel. What happens then? They eat highly processed foods, sugary snacks, and late-night bites during their eating window. They believe that because they've fasted for 16 hours, they've earned the right to eat whatever they like in the remaining 8. On paper, it looks like discipline. In reality, it often sabotages the very results they were hoping for. Think of your metabolism like a car engine. Intermittent fasting is meant to give the engine a chance to cool, reset, and then burn fuel more efficiently. But if during the eating window you pour contaminated gasoline into the tank, the engine sputters. Worse, imagine stepping on the accelerator with one foot while the other presses down firmly on the brake. The car rolls, the wheels spin, but you're going nowhere. That's exactly what happens when someone fasts but fills their eating window with foods that spike insulin and keep fat locked away. A patient of mine once came in proudly announcing she had been fasting for months. Yet she couldn't understand why her belly fat refused to budge. We looked at her food log together. Coffee loaded with cream and sugar in the morning to break the fast lightly. Handfuls of chips to tide her over in the afternoon. A big pasta dinner late in the evening because she was starving after a long day. Yes, she was following the fasting clock, but her body never truly entered fat-burning mode. The constant insulin surges from refined carbohydrates and sugary drinks kept her locked in storage mode. This is where the misunderstanding lies. Fasting isn't magic, it's a tool, but the tool must be used properly. If you spend your eating window snacking on the very foods that caused weight gain in the first place, you cancel out the benefits of the fast. It's like mopping the floor while leaving the faucet running. You appear to be cleaning, but the water keeps spilling onto the ground. Some people even shorten their fasting window further, thinking more hours of restriction will make up for poor food choices. But the body isn't fooled. If your cells are constantly exposed to insulin, The switch that allows fat to be released stays locked. Fat burning requires a drop in insulin levels over sustained periods, combined with clean, nourishing foods when you do eat. Without that balance, fasting feels like punishment without reward. Another patient shared with me how she would fast diligently through the day, but then binge on pizza and ice cream at night because she felt deprived. The cycle repeated daily. She wasn't lying about fasting. She was consistent, but she misunderstood the principle. Intermittent fasting isn't about earning a junk food window. It's about giving the body time to heal and recover, then feeding it with nutrition that supports that healing. So ask yourself honestly, have you been fasting but still not seeing results? Are you stuck even though you followed the hours? Take a closer look at what happens when you finally break the fast. Do your choices nourish your body, or do they undo the progress? Intermittent fasting by itself is not enough if it becomes just a game of skipping meals while clinging to poor habits. The body doesn't just need empty hours. It needs those hours to be free from constant insulin spikes and metabolic confusion. It needs clean energy during the eating window so that the fasting period can do what it's meant to shift gears from storage into true fat burning. Most people think of fasting only as a way to burn calories, as if the entire benefit lies in creating a calorie deficit. But fasting unlocks something far deeper than simply withholding food. Inside every one of us, there exists a hidden housekeeping system, a built-in recycling crew that works quietly, tirelessly, and only when the conditions are right. This process is called autophagy, and it's one of the most fascinating discoveries of modern biology. Imagine your body as a bustling city. Every day, factories produce goods, trucks deliver supplies, and workers keep things moving. But with time, waste builds up. Broken machines, old wiring, piles of garbage begin to clutter the streets. If there is no cleanup crew, eventually the city grinds to a halt. In your body, those broken machines or damaged cells, dysfunctional proteins, and toxins that accumulate as part of daily living. Autophagy is the janitor that comes out at night, sweeping away the debris, recycling old parts, and keeping the city functioning smoothly. Now, here is the crucial part. Intermittent fasting only scratches the surface if this cleanup crew never gets called into action. Skipping breakfast and eating lunch later might give you a small metabolic edge, but unless the fasting is long and deep enough to trigger autophagy, you are missing the real magic. Think of it like setting an alarm for the janitor, but never letting enough time pass for him to actually show up. The mess remains even though you feel like you did the work. When autophagy kicks in, extraordinary things happen. Old proteins that could cause inflammation are broken down and reused. Damaged mitochondria, the little power plants inside your cells, are dismantled and replaced with fresh ones. Toxins are cleared away. The body shifts from mere calorie management into true repair mode. This is why some people who practice fasting find their skin clears, their energy improves, and chronic aches begin to fade. It isn't just about eating less. It's about the body finally taking out the trash. One of my patients had been fasting diligently for months, but still complained of fatigue and stubborn belly fat. Once we extended her fasting window carefully, allowing her body to finally dip into autophagy, something remarkable occurred. Within weeks, her energy surged, her digestion improved, and the fat that had clung to her waistline for years began to shrink. She hadn't just lost weight. She had cleared away the cellular clutter that was clogging her system. Think about fat that refuses to budge. Often, it isn't simply a matter of excess calories stored away. Those fat cells are like storage lockers holding toxins and waste until the body engages in autophagy. It hesitates to release that fat almost as if it knows opening the locker without a cleanup plan would cause more harm than good. But when autophagy begins, the janitor is ready. The body feels safe to let go to burn fat for fuel because it can simultaneously recycle and remove the harmful byproducts. This is why autophagy is the missing switch. Without it, fasting is like pressing pause on eating, but never pressing play on healing. With it, fasting transforms into something powerful, a system that doesn't just shrink the body on the outside, but renews it from within. And here's the truth. Many people fast for years without ever realizing that autophagy is the real secret behind the transformation. So let me ask you, have you ever heard of autophagy before today? And if not, can you see why understanding this hidden repair system may completely change how you think about fasting and weight loss? When you first begin a fast, your body isn't thinking about repair yet. It's still relying on the most immediate form of energy, glucose stored in your liver and muscles in the form of glycogen. Think of glycogen as the body's quick access fuel tank. For the first several hours of fasting, your body runs on this stored energy. Only when that tank begins to empty does the real shift occur. As glycogen depletes, insulin levels begin to drop. This is crucial because insulin acts like a gatekeeper. When it is high, your body remains in storage mode, keeping fat locked away. But as insulin falls, the opposing hormone glucagon rises. Glucagon signals your body to begin releasing fat for energy. And with it, cellular pathways that trigger autophagy start to awaken. It's as though the body finally realizes we're not being fed. Time to start cleaning house and recycling what we already have. This switch doesn't flip immediately. For most people, autophagy begins somewhere between 16 and 24 hours of fasting. The exact timing depends on diet, activity, and metabolic health. If your body has been conditioned by years of frequent snacking and high sugar intake, it may take longer to enter this repair state. If your metabolism is already efficient and you eat cleanly, autophagy may arrive sooner. But here's the key. The deeper you go into the fast, the stronger this process becomes. A short 12-hour overnight fast allows your body to dip into fat burning lightly, but autophagy is only just beginning. A 16-hour fast is better. This is where many people start to feel sharper as the body begins clearing debris. By 24 hours, autophagy is more robust, and by 36 to 48 hours, it becomes significantly more powerful. This is where deeper cellular renewal and detoxification take place. Of course, longer fasts must be approached with caution, but they provide a glimpse into the true potential of what fasting can do. One of my patients had always practiced 16-8 fasting, but she still struggled with weight plateaus and fatigue. When she carefully extended her fasting window to 24 hours once a week, her progress reignited. Her body finally dipped into deeper autophagy, and the results were noticeable not only on the scale, but in her energy and clarity of mind. This doesn't mean everyone needs to fast for days, but it does illustrate the difference between scratching the surface and truly engaging the repair system. Practical approaches are essential. If you're new to fasting, start with a 16-hour fast a few days a week. Once your body adjusts, experiment with extending to 20 or even 24 hours occasionally. Focus on hydration. Water, black coffee, or herbal tea can make fasting more sustainable. And remember, it's not about punishing yourself. Fasting is a therapeutic tool, not a race. Some people thrive with one 24-hour fast each week, while others prefer a consistent 16-hour routine. The goal isn't perfection. It's creating conditions that allow autophagy to work for you. Contrast this with constantly relying on short fasts alone. While 12 or 14 hours may feel like fasting, for most people, it doesn't give enough time for glycogen to deplete and autophagy to meaningfully begin. It's like cleaning only the top layer of dust in a room while ignoring the clutter piled in the corners. Extended fasts, when practiced safely, are like a deep clean. They give the body the time it needs to go beyond calorie burning and engage in true cellular renewal. Autophagy is a biological gift. It is built into you waiting to be activated, but it requires time, patience, and consistency. The more you understand these timelines, the more strategic you can be with your fasting routine. This isn't about deprivation. It's about unlocking a switch that most people never give their bodies the chance to flip. So, let me ask, what's the longest fast you've ever attempted? And did you feel the difference between simply going without food and truly entering a state of renewal? I often see people who work so hard at fasting, but unknowingly undo their efforts the moment they break the fast. They look at the clock, see that their eating window has arrived, and believe the myth that as long as I fasted, I can eat anything I want. But here's the truth. What you put into your body during that eating window can either unlock the benefits of autophagy or block it completely. Think about this. Fasting lowers insulin, depletes glycogen, and primes your body for repair. But if the very first thing you consume is a can of soda, a processed snack, or even a heavy load of refined carbohydrates, your insulin spikes dramatically, shutting the door on fat burning and signaling your body to store rather than heal. It's like tidying up a room all morning only to dump a bag of garbage in the middle of the floor as soon as the janitor arrives. Processed foods are the biggest culprits. Chips, cookies, packaged snacks, and fast food don't just add calories. They send chaotic signals to metabolism. They flood your bloodstream with glucose, overwhelm your insulin, and stop autophagy in its tracks. Constant snacking has the same effect, even if it's healthy. Snacks like granola bars or dried fruit. Every bite triggers an insulin response that tells your body to pause the repair work and switch back into storage mode. Sugary drinks are often overlooked, but incredibly damaging. A single glass of juice or soda can undo hours of fasting by jolting your insulin upward. Even flavored coffees loaded with cream and sugar can sabotage progress. I've had patients tell me, but it's just one lat in the morning, not realizing that those few hundred calories and sugar load are enough to completely shut off the very process they are trying to achieve. Another surprising roadblock is excessive protein. While protein is essential for muscle repair and overall health, eating large amounts at once, especially in the form of processed protein shakes and bars, can actually suppress autophagy. This is because protein stimulates growth signals, particularly through a pathway called Montar imbalance. This is good. But in excess, especially during the eating window of a fast, it tells the body to build rather than clean, halting the recycling process. So what does support autophagy? Whole nutrient-dense foods that provide energy without overwhelming insulin. A meal rich in vegetables, fiber, healthy fats, and clean proteins encourages the body to stay in balance. Polyphenols found in colorful plant foods like berries, green tea, olive oil, and dark leafy greens have been shown to enhance autophagy and reduce inflammation. Healthy fats, avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil give you steady fuel without spiking insulin, allowing your body to glide smoothly between fasting and eating states. For example, imagine breaking your fast with a fast food burger, fries, and a soda. Within minutes, your blood sugar spikes, insulin surges, and autophagy slams shut. You may feel a rush of energy followed by a crash, leaving you hungry again far too soon. Now, compare that with breaking your fast with a large salad of mixed greens, olive oil, walnuts, grilled salmon, and a cup of green tea. Instead of chaos, your body receives nourishment. Insulin rises gently. Autophagy isn't abruptly halted, and your body continues repairing even as it absorbs the nutrients. This difference is profound. One meal leaves you bloated and tired. The other leaves you energized and light. One meal sabotages hours of discipline. The other amplifies the work your body has already begun. Fasting isn't a free pass to eat junk. It's an opportunity to multiply the benefits of clean eating. So, I ask you directly, what's the one food that breaks your fast most often? And does it support your body's repair system, or does it quietly block the very autophagy you're working so hard to achieve? When most people think about fasting, they imagine a smaller waistline or a lower number on the scale. But weight loss is only the beginning. The deeper truth is that autophagy reaches into every system of the body, acting as a repair crew that does far more than trim fat. It calms inflammation, clears toxins, rejuvenates cells, and helps prevent the very diseases that shorten our lives. Consider inflammation. Low-grade inflammation is like a constant fire smoldering in the background, silently damaging tissues and paving the way for chronic illnesses. When autophagy is activated, damaged proteins and malfunctioning cell parts that fuel this fire are removed and recycled. The flames quiet down, and the body can focus on healing rather than fighting itself. This is why many people who practice fasting report less joint pain, clearer skin, and a general sense of lightness. Fatty liver is another condition tied to poor metabolism and excess calories. It's increasingly common even among people who aren't overweight. The liver becomes congested with fat, impairing its ability to detoxify and regulate blood sugar. Autophagy helps sweep away this buildup, allowing liver cells to regenerate and function more efficiently. I've seen patients who reduce their fatty liver markers dramatically once they combined fasting with smart nutrition. Their blood work improving in ways medications had never achieved. Autophagy also plays a critical role in protecting against diabetes by recycling damaged cell components and improving insulin sensitivity. It helps the body respond better to glucose. Instead of constantly bathing the bloodstream in high sugar levels, the body learns to manage energy more effectively over time. This lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes or even helps reverse early stages of the disease. And what about the arteries? Inside those blood vessels, plaques form from cholesterol, inflammation, and cellular debris. Autophagy acts like a cleanup system, stabilizing plaques and reducing the risk of dangerous blockages that can lead to heart attacks or strokes. For someone like me trained in cardiology, this is one of the most powerful arguments for fasting. It doesn't just change how you look in the mirror, it changes the very fate of your heart. Perhaps the most exciting connection, though, is with aging itself. In 2016, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to Yoshinori Ohsumi for his groundbreaking research on autophagy. His work showed that this process is essential for longevity. When autophagy is impaired, cells accumulate waste and age prematurely. When it is active, cells renew themselves, extending not only lifespan, but health span. The number of years lived with vitality rather than disease. This isn't abstract science. It is happening inside every person who gives their body the chance to activate this remarkable pathway. Patients often tell me about benefits that go beyond what they expected. One man who struggled with blood pressure for years began practicing extended fasting once a week. Within months, his blood pressure normalized and he was able to reduce his medications. Another patient reported sharper focus, improved memory, and more consistent energy as if her brain had been unclogged. These are not isolated stories. They echo what research is now confirming, that autophagy is a universal renewal process touching every organ, every cell, every function. When you think about it, the promise of autophagy is extraordinary. This is not just about losing a few pounds for summer or breaking through a weight plateau. This is about adding years to your life and perhaps more importantly, adding life to your years. Imagine growing older but remaining active, mentally sharp and free from the burden of multiple medications. That is the true gift of autophagy. So let me ask you, would you fast not just to lose weight, but to live longer and healthier? The beauty of fasting and autophagy is that they are not exotic or complicated practices reserved for laboratories or clinics. They are built into our biology, waiting to be unlocked with small, consistent choices. But in today's world of endless snacks, processed foods, and constant stimulation, the simplicity of fasting can feel like the hardest thing to do. That's why the key is not to make it extreme, but to make it sustainable. If you are just starting out, begin small. Even a 12-hour overnight fast, finishing dinner by 700 p.m. and eating breakfast at 700 a.m. can give your body a gentle break. Once you're comfortable, stretch it to 14 or 16 hours, perhaps skipping breakfast or eating an earlier dinner. Over time, you can experiment with longer fasts, 20 to 24 hours occasionally, or even a 36-hour reset once in a while if your body tolerates it. You don't need to push yourself into extremes right away. Autophagy doesn't demand perfection. It rewards consistency. Nutrition is the second pillar. Fasting opens the door, but what you eat determines whether the healing continues or abruptly stops. Whole unprocessed foods should form the foundation of your meals. Vegetables, nuts, seeds, healthy fats, clean proteins, and plenty of fiber. These not only nourish your body, but also support the cellular pathways that keep autophagy alive. Green tea, olive oil, dark berries, and cruciferous vegetables are powerful allies. On the other hand, sugary drinks, processed snacks, and fast food undo the very work your fast accomplished. Breaking your fast is not just a meal. It is a message you send to your body. Sleep and movement are equally important. Autophagy is influenced by circadian rhythm. When you respect your body's natural sleep cycles, you give it a stronger signal to repair and recycle. Likewise, moderate physical activity, even something as simple as a brisk walk, enhances insulin sensitivity and nudges the body further into fat burning and cellular renewal. Think of fasting, nutrition, sleep, and movement as four legs of the same table. If one is missing, the foundation becomes unstable. One of my patients, a busy professional, was overwhelmed at first. She thought fasting meant rigid schedules and endless hunger. Instead, we started simply 3 16-hour fasts each week, clean meals centered on vegetables and protein, a nightly walk, and prioritizing 7 hours of sleep. Within months, her energy improved, her cravings decreased, and she no longer felt imprisoned by food. She didn't just lose weight, she gained freedom. That is what fasting paired with autophagy is truly about. Sustainability matters more than intensity. Some people burn out quickly because they see fasting as a temporary challenge rather than a lifelong rhythm. But fasting is not punishment. It is not about starving yourself or fighting against your body. It is about giving your body the space to heal, to recycle, to rejuvenate. When you reframe it this way, fasting shifts from being a burden to being a gift. And here is the empowering truth. Everything you need is already inside you. You don't have to buy a supplement, subscribe to a program, or depend on gimmicks. Autophagy is your own built-in repair system. Fasting is simply the key that unlocks it. When you realize this, the process becomes less about restriction and more about discovery, uncovering the resilience and healing potential your body has always carried. Fasting isn't about starvation. It's about unlocking the healing within you. It's about giving yourself the chance to feel lighter, clearer, stronger, and more alive. And it begins with one simple choice to give your body the gift of time. I'd love to hear from you. What have been your biggest struggles with fasting, and what wins have you experienced along the way? Share them, because your story may inspire someone else who feels stuck, just as you once